The epidemic of obesity in America is worse than ever. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports almost 40% of adults are obese, the highest rates ever recorded in the United States. No surprise, diet products and plans are a $70 billion industry, with 45 million Americans going on diets every year. Some experts say fewer than 5% keep that weight off. But what if you could quell that hunger signal, not be hungry anymore, long enough to lose the weight for good? Here is what happened when a group of people had their hunger nerve frozen.
Hey, Jaden.
Melissa Donovan takes care of brand new babies in a job that never stops.
Oh, you're sweet, baby.
A single mother, Donovan has been dieting on and off since the 3rd grade.
I definitely would turn to food. Like, I like celebrating with food, and when I'm bored, I eat food. And at the nurse's station, people bring us food to show us love, and we eat their food.
If there's a diet, odds are she's done it.
Usually my problem was I could lose it by doing like a cleanse or a Whole30 or a sugar detox, and then I would gain it right back. I can gain 10, lose 20, gain 25 easily. I was kind of giving into the circumstance that I was just going to be that plus size girl, and I didn't want to be, but I was like, all of a sudden I'm just, Trey's mommy who's just overweight, and I didn't want to be that person, but I was like, well, I guess it's just inevitable.
What Donovan didn't know was that on the other side of the Emory Johns Creek Hospital was a doctor who would change her life.
In my day job, I was using interventional radiology to freeze nerves for the treatment of pain.
Interventional radiologist Dr. David Prologo was helping patients end debilitating nerve pain with cryoablation, a several decades old process in which hollow needles cooled by thermally conductive fluids are placed close to a nerve.
It's freezing of the nerve. We know from treating pain that if we get a probe close to the nerve and we drop the temperature, the nerve stops sending whatever signals it was sending, in most cases pain.
So Prologo, who is also board certified in obesity medicine, had an idea.
One of the things that causes people to quit their diets is hunger. And we know that that hunger signal is transmitted through a nerve. And so the interventional radiology skill set allows me to get to that nerve safely through the skin with image guidance.
Dr. Prologo is talking about the vagus nerve, which runs from the brain to the belly, and among its many duties is alerting the brain to when the stomach is full and empty.
The vagus nerve projects these hunger signals to the brainstem. The brainstem then processes them and sends them to the higher centers in your brain that process pleasure. For survival purposes, when our stomach is empty, our vagus nerve sends a signal to our brain to seek food so that we don't die.
Prologo says those hunger signals can be relentless on calorie-restricting diets, especially for overweight people.
A restricted calorie diet for a person who is lean is easier to tolerate than a restricted calorie diet for a person who's overweight. Making the change is hard. Maintenance is not. If we can get the people past the point where it's hard to restrict calories, then the hunger signal is much easier to deal with. There's paper after paper after paper, very famous papers written in the Journal of American Medical Association showing how no matter what diet a person is on, their success or failure depends on nutrition, meaning that we can compare the Atkins diet to Ornish, to the South Beach diet, to a keto diet, and the people who are going to succeed aren't in one of those buckets. The people who are going to succeed are the people who stay on the diet.
In Dr. Prologo's case, his motivation to help people lose weight comes from a deeply personal place.
I'll be honest, I'll tell a story that I don't think I've told to anyone else, and it's a true story. I watched my mom, who was overweight for the majority of my life. I'm sure she wouldn't be embarrassed that I'm sharing that. And I knew her to be an extremely strong and persistent person with a will of steel, right? But she could not stay on a diet. I got to see it from the inside, from a person that I knew was strong. And so this message that people cannot make the transformation from overweight to lean because they're weak could not possibly be right if we're talking about my mom. I see people like my mom every day now, And when they tell the story of how difficult it is for them, how impossible it is for them to stay on a diet, I want them to know, I believe you. I believe you.
Dr. Prologo took evidence from previous studies of cryoablation and presented them to the FDA for a new application, a new use for the procedure, to freeze part of the vagus nerve. Prologo calls it the catch procedure, cryoablation to curb hunger. The FDA approved a pilot study. The first participant to sign up, Melissa Donovan.
I thought I was there for like 3 minutes. I was there for like 30.
We bring them into the CT suite, and we give them some sedation, lay them on their belly. We take a small probe, which is about the size of a pen tip, and we advance that through their back to this region where the esophagus meets the stomach. That's where the vagus nerve lives. We freeze for 2 minutes, and we let it thaw for a little bit, and then we take that out. We put a Band-Aid over the site, and we recover them from the sedation and send them on their way.
Dr. Prologo says the small section of the vagus nerve that is frozen eventually regenerates.
It regenerates at about a rate of 1 millimeter per day, which is really slow. So the distance of the vagus nerve would take about a year to regenerate.
Woke up, went home, and didn't feel anything. Like never had pain, never had any kind of discomfort. I called Dr. Prologo the next day and I was like, was this a placebo effect? Did you just pretend like you were gonna go in and freeze something and you didn't really do anything? And he was like, why, what's the deal? And I was like, I just forgot to eat. I was like, I'm obsessed with food.
Just like that, Donovan got off the seesaw she's been on for most of her life.
I didn't feel hungry. And really it was like, I don't need to eat, but I should eat, right? I should stop to eat right now. I didn't think it was real. I thought maybe I'd made it up in my head. I would order the same amount of food that I was used to ordering, so I could eat a whole burger and I could eat a whole side of fries, or I could eat 3 sushi rolls. It won't let you. Your body will tell you to stop eating, that you're really full.
Donovan was one of 20 people in the pilot study. Participants were not given any guidance on diet, calorie restriction, exercise, or lifestyle changes.
What we did measure was impact on hunger. So we took all of the patients who underwent the procedure, and at each of the follow-up points, 7 days after the procedure, 45 days after the procedure, 90 and 180, we gave them a questionnaire asking them to compare their hunger level to pre-procedure rates. And more than 95% of the patients are reporting decreased hunger. So what we can do with that decreased hunger is what's exciting about this.
6 months post-procedure, 95% of participants felt their appetite was less than before. 50% had cut 460 calories a day from their diet. 47% were eating 500 fewer calories a day. And 24% had cut a whopping 1,000 calories a day from their diet. 18 out of 20 people did lose weight, anywhere from 3 to 30 pounds. And something else? This group began moving, with 84% of patients reporting increases in physical activity. Dr. Prologo says intervening in a physical way can dramatically impact a mentally and physiologically difficult journey.
We would never have someone come into us with heart disease who says, I've smoked for X number of years and I ate steaks every day and now I've got heart disease. We would never say to them, well, you better get your head together and overcome this heart disease. Never. We think of a way to intervene onto their body and reverse their heart disease and treat them and help them. Yet when an obese person comes in, we tell them to just kind of gut it out.
Prologo believes that freezing the vagus nerve, quieting that hunger signal for about a year, gives people time to change their bodies and their lives.
We just need it to be out of the way long enough so that these folks can get over here, and eating healthy and exercising and living well is fun. So when the nerve regenerates, they're already over here. They don't need to make a change anymore. It's making the change that's hard. We want to help people make the change.
It's been a year for Melissa Donovan.
I've lost somewhere a little more than 30 pounds, probably 3 sizes down, and haven't gained any of it back.
She says she notices hunger signals now that her vagus nerve is regenerated, but they're no longer debilitating. That frozen year freed her from her yo-yo diets. She has a new lifestyle, a new life.
Oh, Dan, you're perfect. You're perfect. We'll go back to mommy.
This procedure is not available to the public yet, but Dr. Prologo says it will be in the near future.